Welcome, welcome. I'm Robin Crane. I empower women in money and business, and I love doing this podcast because I love sharing results of phenomenal, empowered women entrepreneurs who mostly, in the service-based industry, who have really made a difference, not just in their own lives by making more money, but really helping more people. And I am very excited to bring Brie Sedano. Brie Sedano is changing lives here, and would love to welcome you to the podcast. Welcome, Brie.
Hey, Robin. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you start by, tell us what you do, because you do something quite unique and awesome. And I know the first time we talked, I was impressed and already asking you for tips. So tell people what you do in regards to like the student loan stuff and just how it's I think it's really, really very unique as far as how you help people.
Yeah, so I'm a financial planner, and before I was a financial planner, I wrote grants in the nonprofit sector. So I happen to speak like federal languages, I guess. I mean, it's English, it's just hard to understand. So I figured out how to work all the student loan forgiveness programs that are out there. So that's something really, I guess, different and unique that I bring to my clients. So once you can fix a problem like that, you become quite popular for fixing student loan problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I remember, so why don't you tell them a little bit about where you were before, because I know, looking back, it probably seems crazy, like how much you would charge and the type of results you would give clients, and then how much, what you really transitioned from there after, we started working together and whatnot.
Yeah, so I used to just help people figure out just their student loan problems. They would just come in, sit with me once or twice, and I would work on executing if a consolidation needs to be done, or the paperwork, the rest of what goes into executing a loan forgiveness program. And I was charging like $350 to come and do that. And I wasn't really making very much money, but I also wasn't really servicing them well, because they'd come back with, even if we freed up cash flow, saved them a few $100s a month, or, and the forgiveness happens way down the road. That's not an automatic thing. So, I don't know. Yeah, so I wasn't really servicing them. Even if they were freeing up their cash flow, they weren't really in a much stronger, financially better position. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think just for the listeners, because I know what you're talking about, and what you're talking about is that it was kind of a quick fix, right? You were like, okay, I think I can do this quickly. You have a student loan problem. I know how to fix it. And so boom, like if they had $100,000 or $300,000 student loan, like you would be able to get that forgiven, but it wasn't always immediate, or it was, but it was typically maybe a few $100s for the cash flow. The problem was that they had more problems than that, right? It wasn't that like the only thing wrong was that they had a student loan debt. They also were having trouble with cash flow and maybe, not following the financial plan. Right. So what you're saying is that it's like you try to do this quick fix, and the way, I know the audience doesn't realize this yet, but what you've shifted to is such a transformational program and changing habits and behaviors that it almost, looking back, it seems like I didn't do much, but you still help people a lot. It's just you realize.
No. Usually, I mean, most of the time people leave my office and they like pay me my fee and kiss me and then invite me to their kids' birthday parties. You fix your student loan problem. It's a pretty big deal for people. But it was later on that I realized that there was still a lot more work to do. It's down the road. Like a few months later, they'd be calling me and they'd be like, hey, I want to buy a house. How do I save the money to do that? Even if we were saving them $400 or $500 a month just on their student loans. And realizing that cash flow, they still had disappearing money syndrome. The problem where you spend your paycheck before you do anything that you wanted to do with it, that problem, they still had that.
The coined Brie Sedano term, disappearing money syndrome. Is that what you call it? Disappearing money syndrome?
Yeah, most people have it. I made it up.
I love it. So tell me because this is, I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I want them to see, the transformation that you have on other people, because, my book, it's all about make more money, help more people. But I also want to know, for everybody listening, to know where you were. So where were you? Because you're a financial advisor. We all think, oh, financial advisors, they must have it made, right? But tell us I know you're super honest and willing to be vulnerable. Tell us where you were and what your life was like, because you were not charging enough and, you weren't necessarily making the money you wanted to make.
Yeah, I was on average making somewhere between $35,000 and $5,000 a month, $4,000 a month. And I've been in the business a few years, and it was all starting to pick up and starting to come together. It was just happening really slowly. And I wasn't charging anywhere near the value that I was bringing to the clients. A lot of times the planning happens kind of slowly over time. Like you have to work with people for a long period of time. And when you're just doing that based on like a commission from like a one-time like sale of stuff, like it doesn't really work out to be good financially.
Right. So you were making 3 to 5 grand, and was that like, were you struggling, or was it pretty much paying the bills, or where were you as far as like how it affected you or your family?
Well, so my husband was working at a job he really, really like was miserable, like really hated. So
What was that job again?
he was a paramedic, so he's like saving lives and stuff. But that he's been doing it for a long time. It's really intensely stressful. So when I started in the business, I went from managing a nonprofit. I mean, I wasn't making a ton of money, but I had a reasonable salary. So when I just decided I was going to be a financial advisor, he like held it down. So financially, we were doing okay. I mean, we were making it. I mean, we were paying the mortgage, we were feeding the kids. Yeah, I mean, we were feeding the kids. They were eating. They eat a lot. They're hungry all the time. But I mean, we're not feeding them anything nice.
No.
I'm teasing.
Mac and cheese and ramen right now. So you were basically getting by, which is most of America. And here you are, starting a financial planning business. And I think it's really worth noting, because whether you're a financial advisor, it doesn't matter what business you're starting. I mean, if you're a listener on here, you got some business or you want to start a business. And the reality is sometimes when they first start, like there's some years where it's just tough. Like you're just getting by. So you were at that point, you were just getting by. And then, obviously you decided to invest in yourself, but you have a incredible story. So what changed for you? Start with like how you realize, I know you mentioned that you were kind of giving them a quick fix. One of the things that we worked on is really your pricing and packaging. Like, can you tell the listeners just a little bit about what you shifted and how your beliefs shifted so that you could provide more value for your clients and so you got paid more?
Yeah, so I didn't really have a sales process. And sometimes sometimes the student loan solution requires you to have some control over your AGI, which means you need to have control over your cash flow. So when there wasn't an immediate quick fix, when there needed to be some changes in their behaviors to get the cash flow to be free, so that way you could save money in a tax deferred way and control your AGI, that was, I don't know. I mean, none of it ever made any sense. Cause I didn't have an exact step by, I didn't know exactly where they were going for their next step. So they'd come in and meet with me and I'd be like, well, yeah, I could fix this, but it's going to take a few meetings and I don't really know how much it's going to cost, and it's going to be a lot, and you need to do it anyways. And they'd be like, what? None of that made any sense. So I don't even really know what my close ratio was before I started working with you. I really don't. People were seeing me like I'm likable. People like me. I wasn't terrible, but I have no idea what it really was. Maybe half. So some of what we started to do was just to package stuff in a way that made sense and to know where people were going to drive them to the next step. So it's like a phone call to a meeting to this to a package to the, now I have a very clear sales process. So it's like a phone call to a meeting that I get paid for, and then I have one of 3 ways that you can really work with me. Oh, maybe 4. But it's all laid out. It all makes sense. I know that at that first meeting, how they're going to work with me, and if I can help them, how they're going to work with me and what the offer is. It's more just mapping out. I didn't have a map for my own business. I'd just be like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that, or maybe I can't. I don't know. None of it made sense. So I think that was it. Just cleaning up the sales process helped a lot, and the pricing and packaging definitely made a difference.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for the listeners to hear that, just about having a sales process. I think there's definitely some stigma sometimes around sales, and it's like, oh, I don't want to be good at sales. God forbid, I'll be manipulating people or having them do things they don't want to do. But it's totally the opposite, and because you're in my FEMM mentorship, you know about my meaning of sales and how much I love sales, because I believe it's all about transformation. And It's about actually driving people to get out of their own way so that they can have what they actually want. And so some people are afraid of having a process, or they think it wouldn't be right, or they don't need a process, or they don't want a process. And I think it's so huge, because what the challenge was that you weren't able to help as many people when you didn't have a process to help them know what to do next, you know? And so it was really hurting people. And I know one of the first things that you did that I was so proud of, because we started to realize how much value you had and how much you were able to save someone $100 grand. Geez, like you should be paid a little more than that $350. So I think what we did, and again, this isn't about me or what I did with you. I think it's just, I want people listening to understand like how incredible it is to understand your value and then to start getting paid what you're worth. And you actually 10 times your fee. Didn't you start getting paid $3,500 to do, I know you changed it, you added more value, but $3,500 to give them even a better result?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I missed that part, but I'm not going to miss it. They need to hear that part. It's like very specific.
Oh. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so the packages that I started moving it, well, I started like 1,500, 1,800, 2,000, 2,500, and then I was at 3,500 for a little bit, and then I added in an offer where I leveraged my time a little bit, so that's a lower cost, but it's not a lower fee for my time. And actually, April, I'm planning on raising my price again, because I've realized that like for the amount of time that I put in, I'm not being paid for all of it. Like as I'm getting better and more clear about the actual like of what it actually takes to deliver results. Because at the end of the day, like my main goal is to get my clients the transformation. So if I have to, try a little harder, and not be paid for right now, like I still want to make sure that I'm like 100% delivering. So in April, the fee is going to go up again.
Yeah, and that's just, I mean, that makes sense. It's not, you're just want to make sure, the only way you can help more people is if you have enough time to do that. And if you're getting paid too little and you can't survive your own business because of it, then you do need to increase your prices. And I always say when people pay, they pay attention. So it actually helps you get more committed clients, you get faster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The clients, my first clients that paid me like 15 and 1,800, like they just didn't take it as seriously. It's not that they didn't get good results, because they definitely are better off than they're definitely better than they came in. But the clients that really had to dig deep and write that bigger check, like they take the advice so much more seriously, and they're more serious about making change.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say is like when you have someone write the big fat check, half the work is already done for you, because they're so much more committed. They're going to be coachable. They're going to make it happen. There's so much weighing on their success now. They've taken a huge risk, and now they're going to do everything they can, do whatever it takes to actually get the results. So it's just amazing how much that works. That's just a fact. I mean, if people are going to invest that much, they think of it as more of an investment versus an expense. Oh, I'll drop $350 to get this figured out. It's like not that much of a risk, and they are not actually even associated with the fact that they have to put, like it's a two-way street, right? They have to be committed as well. Like you cannot do this for them. To give them sustainable and transformational habits, like you cannot just do it for them. It's not something you just outsource. This is something that they have to come to the table with to change as well. And so I love that you created this program, and now that you're leveraging your programs as well, so you can help more people and still give them an opportunity to work with you, even if they don't have as much or not willing to invest as much on a one-on-one basis. And I know what you found just in general, just working with me and the other women too, is that sometimes it just works better for people when they have the community and people around. So it doesn't mean they're even getting less value, even if they get less time. Have you found have you started your group programs yet? I'm not sure if you've found that yet.
Actually, they start next week on Tuesday.
Okay, cool. Cool. So I just want to, before we wrap up, this is awesome. I think this is super valuable for people to get. I love to have the exact results. Can you tell them again, like just if you don't mind sharing your income, because but I just feel like it's like the more money you make, the more people you help. So, and I feel happy because I've helped you, and then it's like spreading throughout the world because you're doing such amazing things. So, tell us about. So you were at about, you said average about 4,000 a month, and I know when we first worked together, you took some massive action like right away and almost I think double your income. And then where you are, this has been like what 4 or 5 months later, and where you are now.
Yep. So January was my best month ever. I what hit the commissions was just a smidge under 15, and what I contracted was just 23. It was 23.
Awesome. So you said 4,000 and you contracted. I know you didn't get paid every penny yet because some people have payment plans, but you contracted 23, like it's just $23 or 2,300 or something. Like that's $23,000 when you used to make 4. Like, just want to make sure to emphasize that because that's insane. Like that is a different life to be making $4,000 and to be making 23 grand or even 15 grand if that's what you brought home. Like that's a different life. Like how has that affected your life? I know that things have shifted with your husband, with your kids. Like maybe they're not just on macaroni and cheese anymore. Just kidding. But how has that shifted your life? And also I know you're investing a lot back in the business. So part of it is that you got to kind of like get back to like, you know, getting back to even and all that because you took big risks. But, you know, how has it affected your life and what do you see possible now?
Well, so in December, my husband quit his job because I knew that I was going to be able to hold it down. Like I could hold down the fort without that income. So so that's a pretty big deal. So he's still figuring out what he's going to do, but it really helps to, I don't know. I hired an almost full-time assistant. She's like 30 hours. So that's really helping me like build the business and be able to grow. And I hired a marketing firm to help with some of the, there's a lot of stuff going on now. So I hired a marketing firm too. So in terms of lifestyle hasn't changed too much just yet, but the business is definitely in a position where I'm getting ready to like really grow. Like I have a marketing guy and a full-time assistant now. So that's stuff that's really positioned to take me to the next level. I mean, I was joking about, I mean, the kids still like macaroni and cheese. They're still eating macaroni and cheese. I can't take it off the grocery list. They really like it.
Well, that's awesome.
We put hot dogs in there from time to time now.
And I know this is relevance to time because this is going to be recorded and who knows, this is going to be evergreen. So, but as far as just timeline goes, I think we first connected in July or August. We're talking 2016, and you joined my mentorship, which started in October. But then there, you know, that was kind of full on. I think we had a few conversations before that. And then December, your husband was able to quit his job. And it's not like he's not going to work. I know you kept telling me that, but like it was a big deal. Like he was, you know, working and it was a tough job and he wanted out for years, I would imagine. And then like you had so much confidence in what you're doing, even though you're investing back in your business, which is a must in order to scale and grow. Like you felt confident that you can bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan, right? And so then he quit his job, and then January was your best month ever. And just so you guys know, we're now at the very beginning of February. So I just want to give them timeline because it's kind of hard to recognize. So it's really been like this swing of about 6 months where your life is just quite different. And I know you're very passionate about helping people, and that's what you brag about more than your income. And I love that you're allowing me to share the income because I just feel like entrepreneurs need to know the results. But what you've been bragging about more than anything is the transformation you're giving your clients, and that's amazing.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I know people have student loan issues, and you definitely want to give them a way to contact you. So what's the best way? If you have student loan challenges or you need a financial advisor, no, it's not just about investments. It's also about changing the habits. And that's what Brie is phenomenal at, is helping you get out of debt, whether it's student loan or credit card debt or whatever it is, and building your financial future and starting with now and being able to, you know, feel like better about your money and feel good about your decisions when it comes to your money. And Brie is phenomenal at that. And I know she kind of plays things low key, and it's so funny because Brie's always kind of a little nonchalant about things. Like it's like, oh my gosh, like look at this, amazing. And she's like, yeah, it's cool. Like I'm helping more clients, I'm making more money. Like she's kind of nonchalant about it, but it's phenomenal. Like, and if you imagine your life and you think about, wow, if I got those changes in like a 6-month period, like, wow, how would my life be different? Like, it's just pretty phenomenal. So how can they find you, Brie? Because you know, someone watching this might say, hey, I really need your help, Brie, because you're phenomenal. You care so much about helping people, and I know you can help them turn their lives around with their debt and whatnot.
All right. Well, so I'm on Facebook and Brie Sedano. Sorry, I can hear myself. My website is guidemoney.org. And the phone number is
yeah, we just got an echo, and that happens. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. It's so weird. This is happening on one of my other ones as well. So give me so Brie Sedano is where you find you on Facebook, and I know you're very active on Facebook and offer a ton of value. So that's SOD Sedano, ANO. Is that what it is?
SODANO.
Okay, SODANO. And then how do they find you otherwise?
Guide2money.org.
Guide2money.org. So guide2money.org. So check that out, and let's get you where you want to be financially. I mean, if you're in debt, a student loan especially, she's your girl. And also just, definitely follow her on Facebook because she has a ton of value. It's Brie Sedano. Look her up, check her out. And hopefully for those, all of you listening as a female entrepreneur having your own business, it's just my goal is to help build belief that you can do this. I mean, no matter where you are, what you're making, like, if you have an established business, I've had people on this show who have a very established business, but then still weren't paying themselves well, or maybe you're making $1 million a year. I've had clients who make over $1 million a year, and then they still want to grow and scale, and there's so much more to learn. So wherever you are, I hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, I'm Robin Crane. If you haven't gotten my book yet, definitely go to makemoremoneyhelpmorepeople.com, or you can find me at robincrane.com. Of course, on social media as well, Robin H. Crane. If you find me on Facebook or at Robin H. Crane on Twitter, just look me up. You'll see it. There's a lot of easy ways to find me, and get involved. So, and get on my Facebook group and all that, so you can really get what you need to grow your business. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Brie. You did awesome.
No, thanks. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.